Every person and organisation has an obligation to mitigate the effects of climate change, arguably the biggest health threat that faces us. The ambition of the NHS is to be the most visible and effective public sector exemplar in sustainable development in general and carbon reduction in particular. To do this, it needs to operate economically, conscious of its core role in delivering safe and cost-effective healthcare, while simultaneously operating ethically, recognising its broader obligations to the health of the population and the planet. In this programme, we hear the views of Dr. David Pension, Director of the NHS Sustainable Development Unit, who provide leadership, support and policy input to ensure the NHS is the leading public sector organisation in promoting sustainable development and mitigating climate change. We also hear from leading sustainability innovators LINPAC Environmental, FLAG-Soprema and Hoval Limited, who talk about their solutions designed to help the NHS to reduce its carbon footprint.
The NHS Sustainable Development Unit is a research and policy unit for the NHS in England to help the NHS prepare for a low carbon future. Now that sounds like a very long way off, but in fact there are many very good reasons why the NHS would want to do that now. Preparing for the future is going to be good for preparing for the present as well. And that's one of the many fortunate things about the health service or about delivering healthcare, is that many of the things you would do to prepare for a resilient, future-proofed service actually benefits the health service now. All sources of energy have to be paid for in one way or the other. At the moment we pay a lot for gas and oil and coal, not so much coal now, but gas and oil, in order to heat and light hospitals. The great challenge is doing it in a way that will be affordable in the future. We know that fossil fuels are going to be restricted in future because they're going to become less available. The price will therefore rocket, and we know that. So we see examples of that. The good thing about that is it stimulates us to be more innovative in where we get our sources of energy. Now, none of these are going to be free, but they may well be much more renewable energy. Now, renewable energy still costs because we have to convert it from sun or wind or wave power that we're quite moderately well blessed with in this country, we're very lucky in that sense. So we have to get very good at using our bargaining power. So the NHS spends millions of pounds on energy. So in terms of being a public sector exemplar, we should be using our buying power within the National Health Service to stimulate the renewable energy business in this country. That's quite challenging, actually. It's not quite as simple as it sounds, because the NHS is largely a set of quasi-independent organisations, 300 or 400 of them, and we seldom use our buying power as much as we possibly could. So there's great potential for doing that.
LINPAC Environmental is a UK manufacturing company which provides solutions to a number of market sectors. These sectors include retail, industrial, public sector and also the National Health Service. We work with companies to provide solutions for them, and those solutions are often innovative solutions that tackle issues such as recycling. Our background came from litter products on the highways, and we've migrated over the years into recycling. What we're going to share with you now is our range of EnviroBins. We start here with the 55 litre and we grow up to the 140 litre range. The 55 litre range can be used in a number of applications. It's really where the waste stream capacity is very, very low, or there are a small number of people in the office environment or in the rest area environment. Next to it we have the 82 litre bin. The 82 litre was born from the 55, and it was really working with customers to establish exactly what their requirements were. And they came to us and said that they would require a bin that was a little bit bigger, but not as big as the one next to it, which is the 100 litre range of bins. And over here we have the 140 litre. You can see that we've got a range of different apertures here, and they're all colour coded. The reason that they're colour coded is because when you implement this type of recycling zones right across the company, it's important that we don't get cross-contamination of waste. So therefore the colour, as in this instance, red, indicates that it's plastic bottles. Here with blue, we're indicating that there's paper. And this is RAP compliant coding, which is used extensively across the UK. We pride ourselves on our environmental performance, and to that level we comply with a number of British standards. For environmental, it's BS ISO 14000, and for our quality systems, it's BS ISO 9000, which enable us to consistently deliver good quality and good customer services. We look at the products and we provide innovative designs. Many of those designs have won awards from a variety of respectable companies in the UK. You can see again that all of the products lean forward, so it makes it very easy to actually put the waste into the bin. The surface of the aperture is very, very smooth, and the reason for that is that it makes it easy to clean. And what we've developed is an interchangeability of apertures across the range of products. So once we start and agree with you what your starting position is with the survey, if the waste streams change, then that's not a problem, because all that we would do is actually start to change the aperture. So for instance, it's very easy then to put a different aperture on top of that bin. In January 2009, the NHS Sustainability Unit published their strategy for reducing their carbon footprint. This strategy focused on 10 key areas. One of those key areas which we are very interested in is the area of waste. From that point of view, they've looked at how they can actually reuse their waste, how they can recycle their waste, and how they can reduce their waste. And it's the recycling of waste that we particularly come to the forefront in providing a number of solutions. What we're demonstrating here is a recycling bank where a number of envirobins have been put together to show that you can actually, in large offices, you can actually cluster them up. Equally, if the footprint is very, very small, like in a corridor, you can just take two of the envirobins and have them together as portrayed here. We pointed out in the 55 litre range that all of the graphics is pointing forward, but we've also got the opportunity with the 82 litre to incorporate signage. In providing solutions for the National Health Service, there are two principal factors that come into play. The first is, how do we select the product and how is it going to be used? The second, and probably the more important factor for making recycling successful in the workplace, is the actual, how do we change the behaviour of people? How do we move from having a bin under the desk, a waste bin under the desk, to having recycling zones around the workplace? One of the ways in which behaviour has to be changed is that we move the waste bin, the traditional waste bin, from under the desk to a recycling zone. As a result of that, we've introduced also a desktop recycler. This particular product is used during the course of the day to gather the various waste streams, and then periodically through the day you move to the recycling zone and deposit the waste into the various waste streams. LINPAC Environmental has a range of products and services which we are able to assist you in actually implementing a recycling program. Our knowledge is extensively wide across the UK, and it's also deep across the UK in our understanding of what recyclers require and how they actually work. So we are well placed in the marketplace to be able to offer you a very, very good solution to your recycling requirements, whether they be internal or external.
The future is very positive. We absolutely have got to be positive about this, not because the alternative is, scary. It's just that for the health service, there are so many good opportunities for making a sustainable healthcare service. It's not as if we've got to do this despite delivering a cost-effective healthcare today. high quality healthcare system is entirely compatible with a sustainable healthcare system. Sustainability will be the catalyst that will actually drive many of the changes that many of us have been trying to put together for decades. But the onus, the economic onus of sustainability will give us that impetus, I think, to deliver really good changes for patients, really good at promoting health, preventing illness, taking care closer to home, making care much more cost effective, and ultimately making it a better society for us all to live in. And that's what the health service was set up to do in the first place. And 60 odd years later, it's doing a really good job at doing this. And sustainability, climate change is yet another challenge. And I'm absolutely convinced we'll meet that challenge head on and we'll end up with a much better health service.
FLAG-Soprema is a waterproofing manufacturer with a worldwide reputation. We've been in existence for over 100 years. We produce single-ply membranes, we produce bitumen systems, hot melt systems, and liquid applied products. We work in a wide, diverse range of countries, from very, very cold climates right up to being involved in projects in the Far East. Sustainability is at the core of what FLAG-Soprema are doing. We consider the environmental implications of all that we do, from our manufacturing to the design life of the products on site. So when we produce our single-ply membranes, looking at either the PVC or the TPO membranes, we look for the cleanest way possible. With the PVC membranes, we have a closed circuit unit which recycles the water and minimises the effect on the environment. And with our TPO membranes, that's thermoplastic polyolefin, TPO is considered a cleaner, more environmentally friendly single ply. It has less impact on the environment and doesn't extrude plasticizers into the atmosphere. So with our TPO membranes, we look to be even cleaner than that, and we produce them from granular form so that we minimise dust and gas emissions from the plant. The temperatures don't have to be so high to produce the membrane, so it is a lower energy cycle. And the membrane that comes out of the other end is actually considered of no environmental impact in its production. When we look at our hot melt systems, they are sustainable in the fact that they last a very long time. So it's design life of the structure. And with the green roofs that we can then apply to all of our systems, you're looking at something that's much more biodiverse, something that when you look out of the window, it's a nice thing to look over. It cools the air, it cleans the air, and it's a much more pleasant experience. The green roofs themselves can be anything from a very thin, extensive roof, right the way up to a garden or an area that can be used by the public. FLAG-Soprema have a wide range of products and services for a diverse range of roofs. So we really look at, rather than being too prescriptive, we look at what the roof needs to make it waterproof, to make it function, to make it aesthetically pleasing. So we do such a diverse range of systems. We can produce membranes for aesthetic finishes, such as the copper and silver with the standing seam profile. We can have a roof with the bitumen systems, and a longer hard-wearing surface with the hot melt. So if there's a lightweight roof that just requires a simple waterproofing, then it would be one of the single-ply membranes. If we're looking at something that's going to be used as a plant room or a green roof, then we'd possibly look at using the hot melt system. And when we look at these systems, they're all installed by approved contractors, and those contractors are trained in our head office, and they're trained quite intensively for the different systems that they're going to be installing. When we're looking at the green roofs, it's a different mindset to install. Really, you're not installing a technical solution to waterproof something. You're installing something that's maybe aesthetically pleasing or there for the biodiversity. So it really needs a different mindset to look at getting the best out of that roof. So you almost want gardeners to do that. So we do have also a range, a stock, if you like, of contractors that install the green roofs. And they are proficient in... With research and development, we've always looked at being sustainable and always looked at being environmentally friendly. It's nothing new. It's not something that we've suddenly thought, oh, this is a buzz at the moment, let's do this. We've always been at the philosophy of having a low impact on the environment and producing products that were sustainable so that design lives were increased. I mean, we work extensively below the ground where you can't have a product that only lasts 10, 20, 30 years. It has to last in excess of 100 years. At FLAG-Soprema, we have the experience of 100 years. We have a dedicated team of technical advisors to cope with any technical issues that are encountered. We have the training and the backup to support the contractors. And as a market leader, we continue to supply materials for some of the world's most prestigious projects and the most difficult situations. And we never lose sight of the service we have to provide to all of our clients.
It's important to understand how a health service uses its resources, and especially use their resources in a way that's sustainable. So if you measure the carbon footprint, which is one way of looking at sustainability, if you measure the carbon footprint of a large organisation like the health service, you'll see it's divided into various chunks like energy and transport and buying materials. Energy is a particularly interesting one because we can measure energy very easily, just like we can at home, because we get a bill for it. And it's very important because it's one of the things you can measure and thus manage. So anything that's measurable is manageable. So energy innovations like combined heat and power, which is used quite extensively in the health service, is really good when it's used properly and when it's titrated against the need of a hospital. And the health service has invested many, many tens of millions of pounds in putting in that new sort of technology over the last 10 years, which has been a great success. However, there's much more that can be done. For instance, many other countries in the world have a lot of combined heat and power, which are essentially little mini power stations inside hospitals, but they don't use it with their communities. So, for instance, in Stockholm, many big hospitals have combined heat and power, and it's used to heat cinemas and schools and housing estates within the city. Now, that's had a radically positive influence on helping the citizens of Stockholm reduce their per capita carbon footprint. So we've done well in this country, but we could do even more. The other thing that's important about energy measurements is that energy is only about 1/5 of the carbon footprint of the NHS, which is quite small. When you ask most people, they'd say, well, it's the majority, but it's not. It's quite a relatively small fraction. It's big in absolute terms, but it's a relatively small fraction. So it's great that we're making headway on energy, because that's what you can measure and what you can manage and you can see progress, and we've done that. But actually there's still 4/5 of the NHS carbon footprint, which is much more challenging to both measure and manage, which we've got to get to grips with pretty soon, because we've got fairly ambitious targets if we're going to be compliant with the government's Climate Change Act of reducing emissions by 80% by 2050. Well, my final message is that the future is very positive. We absolutely have got to be positive about this, not because the alternative is scary. It's just that for the health service, there are so many good opportunities for making a sustainable healthcare service. It's not as if we've got to do this despite delivering a cost-effective healthcare today. A high-quality healthcare system is entirely compatible with a sustainable healthcare system. Sustainability will be the catalyst that will actually drive many of the changes that many of us have been trying to put together for decades. But the onus, the economic onus of sustainability will give us that impetus, I think, to deliver really good changes for patients, really good at promoting health, preventing illness, taking care closer to home, making care much more cost effective, and ultimately making it a better society for us all to live in. And that's what the health service was set up to do in the first place. And 60 odd years later, it's doing a really good job at doing this. And sustainability, climate change is yet another challenge. And I'm absolutely convinced we'll meet that challenge head on and we'll end up with a much better health service.
Hoval has been manufacturing and designing heating systems and solutions since 1887 in the UK, and that's roughly about 50 years before the NHS was formed. Here we see the main original boiler works in Newark-on-Trent, which has over the years gone through many changes. At the same time, heating systems and designs have also gone through many changes, and here you see one of our ultra-efficient gas-fired heating boilers, which is destined for Great Ormond Street Hospital. There's also recently been a major resurgence in low-carbon emitting heating kit, which has formed on the back of the solid fuel days. Predominantly this is wood-firing biomass boilers. Alongside that technology, we have also seen significant leaps forward in technology relating to air source heat pumps and solar panels, which today move through these doors at a considerably faster rate than they did several years ago.
In the early days, of course, most of the boilers that we built here were coal-fired boilers. And then as the marketplace moved on, we built oil boilers and gas boilers, and then latterly dual fuel boilers, which are gas and oil combined. And that allows the client then to move between gas and oil depending on the market price of the fuel. Latterly, we've got into building biomass boilers, which are wood-fired boilers, very highly efficient and low carbon. And some of those have gone into the new hospital projects being built currently. The expertise that we bring to that is that we're able to bring together all parts of the application and work alongside, hand in hand with the customer for whatever his application is. Our ultra-gas boiler, gas condensing boiler, is better suited for health buildings that are better insulated and more thermally efficient. And a lot of the health trusts now are going for more low carbon products, better carbon footprint for things like heat pumps and solar heating systems, and it allows them to get a better league table standing on the CRC. The main question we get asked from facilities managers in hospitals is they're looking for several things. They're looking for longevity of product because the buildings are going to be there for a long time, so they're looking for a sort of a 25-year lifespan, but also very high efficiency and flexibility. So quite often we would recommend a biomass boiler, wood-fired boiler, in conjunction with gas boilers, which allows them then to effectively play the market so that if the fuel price on biomass goes up, they can use more of the gas boilers. But they need that flexibility, and it's something that we can offer them as a complete package. We're able to add that into the design process for them.
More and more these days we're seeing sites integrating different technologies together. So you might have a biomass boiler providing the basic heating load backed up by gas boilers. This gives the sensitivity against supply of fuel and greater resilience to the heating system. And also, more and more again, there are solar thermal solutions coming into play with air source heat pumps. So the whole game of heating and hot water has evolved into a different batch of related technologies. And what we try and do is bring all those together to make sure that you get the best of each bit. Part of the philosophy behind the business also is training. And we have a bespoke training facility where we bring consultants in to hear about our different evolutions in technology, bring our own staff in. And these are people that should know, but we improve their knowledge through continual training assessments. And even the on-site technicians come in to learn about applications and on-site techniques. It's a simple fact that when biomass boilers burn wood, small particles of dust and emissions are polluting the atmosphere. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just what happens when you burn wood or coal or similar such solid fuels. This gives rise to health concerns such as asthmatic conditions and bronchial conditions. And what we've done is evolve a new air filter device that essentially scrubs out the flue gases from the back of the boiler and actually makes the air cleaner at the back end of the boiler than it was before it is sucked into the boiler in the first place. This is our CF filter, and this scrubs out the small particles. These are 2.5 micron diameter particles, which we think brings sort of a healthcare aspect to the application of the boiler, coupled with the low carbon heating that you benefit from having wood burning boilers in the first place. Essentially what Hoval can bring to the NHS and healthcare sector now is 120 years or so of experience in heating and hot water solutions, combining the very best in engineering methods in manufacture, as well as the latest technological advances in the new low carbon zero products, such as the biomass boilers, the heat pumps and the solar panels. And all this gives us the opportunity to offer the appropriate and best solution in terms of cost and energy efficiency and carbon footprint to whatever application really there is from whatever size of project, high energy centres, hyper energy centres, or smaller GP surgeries or the like. So Hoval has that experience and knowledge to really give you the best solution for whichever application you're looking for.
We hope this programme has been a valuable resource to NHS trusts in their mission to reduce energy costs and carbon emissions. I'm Georgina Burnett, and you've been watching Solutions for a Sustainable Health Environment.